Hi, everybody. Merry Christmas and welcome to the Hallmarkies podcast. And we are here to talk about Christmas movies and, in particular, to talk about Have Yourself a Movie Little Christmas. And we have its author. We have Alonso Duralde with us. And Alonso, welcome back to the podcast.
Rachel, it's good to see you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I could not believe when I looked up that the last time that you were on the podcast, 2021. Can you believe that?
Whoa, okay. Yeah, well, our lives get in the way. I don't know what to tell you.
So how has the last 4 years been for you?
Oh, great.
It's been busy.
It has been busy. Yes.
Yeah.
I published in 2024. I did a book with Turner Classic Movies called Hollywood Pride. It's a history of LGBTQ plus cinema on screen and off, which was very exciting. And I was thrilled that they reached out to me to write that for them. And now I've got this new edition of Have Yourself a Movie Little Christmas, which, talk about time passing. The thought that book came out 15 years ago is continually
crazy.
shocking to me. Like, that can't be right. But
yeah,
here we are.
yeah. Well, since it's been a while since you've been on, I guess when you introduce yourself to the listeners that might be meeting you for the first time.
Sure. Yeah. Hi, I'm Alonso. I'm a film critic. I write currently for a website called The Film Verdict. And I do a crazy amount of podcasting. My husband and I, Dave White, have done a show called Linoleum Knife for the last 15 years. You can also hear me on Maximum Film on the Maximum Fun Network. Breakfast All Day, which I do with Christy Lemire. That's a YouTube show, but it's also a podcast. And if you follow Deck the Hallmark, I pop in there usually about on a weekly basis to talk about recent non-Hallmark, non-Lifetime Christmas movies.
Okay. That's what they have. You do those on Mondays, right?
It was Mondays. It was Merry Monday, and lately it's been Festive Friday.
Okay.
But all of that now, of course, goes away once Countdown to Christmas starts, because they've got a full week of other things. But I will be doing Deck the Netflix with them during the holiday season. Jax and I will be popping in and talking about those movies and some other non-Netflix stuff as well that's, floating around in the ether.
Cool. Yeah, there were quite a few of the I guess feature films. Holiday themed.
Netflix has, I think, 4 this year, and then there's always, they're always kind of popping up in Hulu and other sort of random places. So we're going to try and whack-a-mole the ones we can, and then the ones we don't, that's what we'll be talking about on either Mondays or Fridays in 2026.
Yeah. Have you reviewed on Breakfast All Day the Baltimoreans yet? Did you do that one?
Okay. Yes. We both liked it a whole lot, and it just dropped on VOD. So Dave's finally going to watch it, and we're going to talk about that one as well. It's funny because the thing about, with this new edition was that I was constantly over the years thinking like, oh man, I want to add that. I want to, I would see something like Arthur Christmas or Better Watch Out. I think, oh man, I got to do this again. Yeah. And so already with Baltimoreans, I'm like, okay, 15 years from now, edition 3, let's do it. I've got something to add,
Yeah.
Ho, ho, ho. We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcasts, especially at Christmas?
Do you enjoy the holiday previews, recaps, interviews, and bonus episodes?
If the answer is yes, please consider supporting the Hallmarkies Patreon. We need your help to do what we do both during the Christmas season and all year round.
But not only do you help a podcast led by strong, independent women by becoming a Patreon, you get to become a part of the Hallmarkies family.
Starting at only $2 a month as a patron, you will have access to our Facebook Patreon group where we talk about the movies, shows, and more all year.
We also have many monthly patron watch-alongs with guests like Lacey Chabert, Natalie Hall, Paul Campbell, Mary Lou Henner, and more, giving their behind-the-scenes details of their films.
As a patron, you also have the chance to provide input into the podcast and even join us at different tiers.
So this Christmas season, spread some cheer to the Hallmarkies Patreon and become a member today. You won't regret it.
Go to patreon.com/Hallmarkies to learn more.
That's patreon.com/Hallmarkies.
Well, so I was curious. So 2010, the original book.
Yes.
How did that end up happening? How did you end up writing that book?
Well, it was one of those ideas that had been knocking around in my head for a while because I had been working, over the years at a variety of, newspapers and magazines. And it was kind of inevitable that like the holidays would roll around and some editor would be like, make me a list of, I don't know, Christmas movies that people don't think of as Christmas movies or Christmas horror movies or something like that. And I thought maybe there's a book in this. There's enough like odd sort of cast a wide net choices of movies that could be considered Christmas movies. And then it wasn't until I met the man who would become my agent at a film festival party and he asked me what I was working on. And I told him that I had this idea and he was like, oh no, that could work. He says his film books don't sell so much anymore, but holiday books do.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so I put together a pitch and a proposal and wrote a sample chapter, did all that stuff. He pitched it around to everybody. There were no takers. And I just thought, okay, well, we gave it a shot. And then a year later, he literally comes back to me and goes, okay, the one publisher that didn't come back to us the first time is now interested. And so the book happened and, it became a thing where I guess for most people, when they write a book, like they go hard for like 6 to 9 months and then it's over and done. But I keep writing these books that become these seasonal things. So like now every June I'm out there talking about Hollywood Pride again. And every December I'm talking about, movie Little Christmas again. And, it became a very sort of slow and steady thing where the book came out in 2010. Finally, in 2021, I entered royalties, which was very exciting because a lot of books don't do that,
Sure.
So I was able to cross over into that place where the publisher was now like, actively making money, and so was I. And that made it easier to pitch them on a second edition because, I think if I hadn't crossed that line, they'd be like, yeah, we're not doing another one. You still owe us for this one,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so did you grow up watching a lot of Christmas movies with you and your family and things like this? Is that how that developed, that interest in them?
I mean, to some extent, yes. Like I grew up in the 70s, so this was the era of It's a Wonderful Life just always being on, So that was one that I definitely knew very well as a kid. But really, it was more of a thing of I love movies. I love movies,
Sure.
of all stripes, and I love Christmas a lot. And so it wasn't until later that I kind of started making these connections about films that either weren't thought of as Christmas movies, but were absolutely sort of steeped in the holiday or it being a background, or even just sort of used Christmas in a different way. And I kind of liken it to, when I grew up, we had 5 Christmas albums in our house. So, my idea of what Christmas music was, well, it was, Bing, Andy, Dean Martin, Perry Como, or the Boston Pops. And then, I got out in the world and was like, oh, wait, Ella Fitzgerald and the Ray Conniff Singers and, all these other kind of things.
Yeah.
And so that expanded my definition of that. And I thought, well, what if I could expand the definition of what people think of as Christmas movies? Because I think for a lot of folks, there's this sort of, Mount Rushmore of like, A Christmas Story and Miracle on 34th Street or whatever. And those are great, but like, what if we could also talk about, The Lion in Winter or Eyes Wide Shut or, Black Christmas or whatever. And so yeah, I did grow up loving Christmas and loving movies, but I would say I didn't really kind of start looking at the juncture between those two things until later in life.
Mm-hmm. So with all of your work with Deck the Hallmark with this new edition, were there many movies that you had to watch anew for this, or were you basically caught up?
It was a mix. Like there was actually for a while there on Deck the Hallmark, I was, we were doing movies that I was needing to watch for the book. Like I had somehow never seen While You Were Sleeping, and I know it's heresy, but I didn't love it. So
I know that episode. I was like, oh no.
I know. I've got a lot of flack for that, but so yeah. So I mentioned it in the new edition, but I didn't go deep on it. But like I realized, I hadn't seen all the Home Alone movies, because that's just a generational thing.
Sure.
I didn't. The first one didn't come out till I was in my 20s, so I didn't grow up with that franchise the way a lot of people did. So yeah, definitely that. And then part of the fun thing about this new thing is not only are there all these really great Christmas movies that have opened since 2010 that I wanted to put in there. But also there were ones I just didn't know about when I wrote the book the first time. So like I'd
Yeah.
never seen The Holly and the Ivy. I had never seen Blast of Silence, you know. And so it was cool to sort of find older classics that also needed to be, that were part of the process of updating the book,
Yeah.
TCM again, like has done these really great marathons the last couple of years where the week before Christmas, they go, 24/7. And because of that, in addition to bringing out, oh, it's Christmas in Connecticut and Remember the Night or whatever,
Yeah.
they'll also dig into they'll do a whole day of noir films. So suddenly you're watching something like Mr. Soft Touch or I Wouldn't Be in Your Shoes. And you're like, I've never heard of this,
Yeah. Yeah. It's fun when like Criterion Channel, they've done
Yes.
some collections as well, which is fun. And I was surprised, we'll talk about it, but particularly the holiday tearjerkers, I had seen almost none of those.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. Which is like, I thought I was like, but yeah, but that I not very many of holiday tearjerkers. And I guess I am proud to say I had seen none of your worst chapters. Zero. I have seen none of those movies.
Good on you.
Yeah,
And I tried to pick like the worst ones that are sort of still kind of weirdly fun to watch because you're just sort of baffled by them. I just watched Play Dirty, which is a new Amazon movie, and it's a Shane Black Christmas movie. And you think, oh, okay, great. It's going to be, like Kiss Kiss Bang Bang or The Long Kiss Goodnight. And it's terrible. And so
I really didn't like it.
it's not even fun enough that I would put it in a future worst chapter because it's just not good. It's not, there's no upside even in a like, oh my God, can you believe how bad this is sense,
Yeah. You want the movies that are like the fake movie in Scrooged, the night that the reindeer died or whatever.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. I did laugh in your intro. You talk about how Bibb suggested that you do a Christmas podcast.
Yeah. One of the great regrets of my life was not taking that suggestion seriously. Because honestly, that's like the two big changes since 2010. One is the rise of streaming, because like when I researched the first version of this book, it was DVDs and even VHS cassettes all the way, and now it was almost entirely virtual. But yeah, the other thing was I could have gotten in early on the Christmas podcast hustle, and at the time I thought, look, I'm a lunatic, but surely there's nobody else out there that would want to talk about this stuff in April and July, but shows you what I know.
You're like calling Bibbs. What other ideas do you have? Let's write. Let's do it.
I know. I won't make that mistake again.
Is there a movie that you changed your mind on from 2010 to 2025 that you like more or less?
Good question. I would say probably it's in the worst chapter, the Mexican Santa Claus. I was originally introduced to that film from Mystery Science Theater and thought it was just kind of ridiculous. But man, I keep coming back to that movie a lot, and I've come. I won't say that it's not a bad movie necessarily, but it's kind of brilliantly bizarre. Like I've been referring to it as baby's first surrealism. Because even though it's not entirely successful and it's got some really wrong-headed notions, it's trying for something, and it's doing that thing of, well, we have a limited budget, so how are we going to make this work? Okay, well, we can't afford real reindeer, so we'll just say the reindeer are wind-up toys, or we can't afford to like a fake North Pole, so we'll say that Santa lives in the clouds. It's nuts, but it's not to be dismissed. I'll say that.
Yeah. Sometimes those kind of low budget scrappy movies can have their own charm to them. Like,
oh, for sure.
Like as ridiculous as it is, like I actually thought that the Santa Draws movie was kind of fun.
They're working with what they got.
Yeah,
like I always admire that. Like a movie that I think is really good, actually, an indie from a few years back was See You Next Christmas. And that's a movie where it's like, okay, we have these two locations, but if we make a movie about an annual party, that's all we need. And everybody, you over the course of like 7 or so years, the haircuts change and the way they dress and the way they behave. And like it's a smart way to sort of use the resources that you have, which I think is so much of what makes low budget filmmaking interesting is basically the sort of resourcefulness of how people turn a limitation into a benefit.
Yeah. Yeah, I that's a hidden gem. I agree. I really enjoyed that one as well. And as critics, we get like so many emails. You've got to check out my indie film. You got to, and most of them are terrible.
Yes.
And when I saw that come through, I was like, "Ooh, rom-com, Christmas, I'll give it a shot." And I really enjoyed it. Yeah, it was funny, it was romantic, it was sweet. Yeah.
Yeah, I have not watched it yet, but apparently Elizabeth Guest, who is Christopher Guest's daughter, who stars in
Mhm.
See You Next Christmas, has made her own Christmas movie that's just
Yeah.
now premiering on the festival circuit. So I've not gotten to it yet, but I'm really
Yeah.
curious to see how that came out.
I have seen it because
Uh-huh.
I actually interviewed her,
Oh,
and
cool.
I enjoyed it.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it's more of a New Year's movie than a
Oh, funny.
Christmas
Okay.
movie. Yeah, it's not that Christmas, but yeah, I thought it was pretty cute. I liked it.
Hey, this is David from the Piecing It Together podcast, a podcast about movies and the movies that inspire them. For over 4 years, each week, a guest and I take a look at a new movie through the lens of what other movies we think were either an influence or connect in some other way. It's a fun, unique way to discuss films that leads to a great list of other movies to check out that either explore the same themes and ideas or maybe utilize similar filmmaking techniques. Including special episodes in our side series that twist the format, we've done over 200 episodes, so there's bound to be one on a film you've been thinking about and want to dig deeper into. So check us out on all the major podcasting apps and at piecingpod.com.
What we would do is go over each of the chapters and maybe talk about one that stands out for you or maybe something
Okay.
new. So we starts out with the kids jingle belling, so the
Mhm.
kids movies.
Yeah.
And so what was a new one or one that kind of in this version stood out to you for as far as the kids?
I'll tell you, I am. This is a movie that I feel like there's always the issue with Netflix movies where sometimes they promote them like crazy and sometimes they don't. And then this one
Yeah.
had the added burden of being a lockdown movie. So I really feel like Jingle Jangle didn't get the push that it maybe deserved. But I hope that's a movie that people are kind of coming around to and discovering, even if it's later, because it is so inventive and colorful, and I love the music, and it just I think is popping with ideas, maybe too many ideas, but I don't mind a little maximalism. It's a musical about a toy inventor who like invents a sort of sentient wind up toy who doesn't want to be, who wants to be one of a kind and doesn't want to be mass produced, so he steals the inventor's book of ideas and runs off with the inventor's assistant, played by Keegan-Michael Key, who takes away all of his stuff. And then the inventor's granddaughter comes and sort of inspires them to sort of, re-enter the world and start making things again. It just I love, it is an old school big streets full of choreographed dancers movie. The costume design is like plaids I've never seen before, and I've seen some plaids. Keegan-Michael Key is a lot of fun. Forrest Whitaker plays the older inventor. Anika Noni Rose is in it. Hugh Bonneville from Downton Abbey. I think that's a really great movie for I think parents and kids could totally watch that together and have a blast.
Yeah. All right. Next, we have nestled all snug in their bed, some movies for grown-ups.
You and I disagree on this one, but I'm a big fan of 2024's Christmas Eve in Miller's Point.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Yeah, which I think is a really it just sort of, it's a movie that kind of almost in a way bypassed my brain and went right to my sort of central nervous system, because I was watching it and enjoying it, and this is the first time I saw it, and as soon as it was over, I burst into tears. It was such a rich experience for me. And granted, I'm the youngest of 7 kids. I know from crowded houses at Christmas time, so a lot of that felt familiar. But I think it's such a beautiful movie about how we remember things. It's sort of set in the nebulous past, like the early 2000s, I guess. And there's this sense of this is the last time we're all going to do this, but no one's quite fully conscious of the fact that is the case. I think you see over the course of the film, every single character having a moment that they're going to remember for the rest of their lives. This thing that happens. Even the dog at one point looks out the window and there's like a deer standing in the yard. You're like, well, that dog's going to remember that moment.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a film I love. And again, I hope that more people are discovering it. I don't know that it fully got its due when it had its theatrical run last year.
That's fair. I think a similar movie with a similar feel, nostalgic feel, Feast of Seven Fishes.
Love it. Yes.
I think that does, it's very similar. But that's the one I would throw out there. But yeah, I can see that. Okay, so then we have like a bowl full of jelly, Christmas comedies. Do you have a new a new to you comedy?
Oh, so here's an example of older movie I had never seen before. I had never watched 1941. It's sort of this.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's kind of this infamous film in the Spielberg canon where it was this big flop when it came out. But if you watch the director's cut, which is now out on Blu-ray, look, if you don't like movies where like large things crash into other large things, then this isn't your movie. But if you are somebody who loves to rewatch, like It's a Mad, 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 Mad World every so often, it's that kind of big, loud slapstick. It's basically about panic in Southern California in the week after the bombing of Pearl Harbor, and so it's all decked out for Christmas. But there's also all this stuff with like, GIs getting into fights with zoot suiters on Sunset Boulevard, and John Belushi as a lone wolf fighter pilot who doesn't know what he's doing, and a Japanese submarine, with a Nazi commander trying to like take over Hollywood, but instead they kidnap a Christmas tree farmer named Hollis Wood. Just like all this madcap goofy stuff. But like, I'll tell you, the money is up there on the screen. They recreated like Hollywood Boulevard at Christmas time in 1941, and it's breathtaking. And this movie has everybody in it, from Belushi and Aykroyd to early appearances by like John Candy and Patti LuPone and Robert Stack and Toshiro Mifune is the submarine commander. Like, just like it is a whole lot of things. But I found it really entertaining, and the director's cut is much better because basically they did a screening in Dallas. It didn't play well with the audience, so a panicky Universal shortened the movie. And what they did was they took out all the setups. So it became just a series of payoffs, but you have to, you need the thing to get you to the place. So the director's cut at least puts those back.
That's good to know. Okay, yeah. I'll make sure I watch director's cut.
Yeah.
If I watch it. Okay, so then you have a Blue, Blue, Blue Christmas, the holiday tearjerkers. The one I was excited that you had in here, like I said, a lot I hadn't seen, but I love Meet John Doe. And I think that it is very underrated. I never heard people talking about it as like one of the great Capra movies. And I thought it was so good. That speech at the end is an all-time great movie speech, in my opinion.
No, I always call it, it's the other Capra movie about the guy who threatens to commit suicide on Christmas Eve. It's great. Gary Cooper is a terrific Capra hero. He and Barbara Stanwyck have, great romantic chemistry. And it also is one of those movies where you realize the way that history repeats itself, because so much of how it's portraying, the wealthy controlling the media and manipulating politicians is super relevant right now. Like it feels like you could put that movie out right now without changing a word of the screenplay, and it would be like, yep, that's the world I recognize.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so we have Putting the Heist Back in Christmas, and this is our holiday action.
Yes.
Action chapter. And I guess just to settle the ongoing debate, the Die Hard, it's a Christmas movie.
Die Hard is a Christmas movie. I think this is undeniable at this point. It is a movie.
It's set at a Christmas party.
It's set at a Christmas party. It has to be Christmas for all the caper to work in terms
He's
of like
only there because of Christmas.
Exactly. It is about an estranged married couple like rekindling their relationship Gift wrap plays a role in the denouement, and the wife's name is Holly, which is like the
Yeah,
Hallmarkiest
that's true.
move you can make. So
Yeah.
I think there's no question there. Hang on, I'm now blanking on like what did I add this time around? Oh, actually, yeah, no, I mentioned it earlier. Blast of Silence.
Yeah, I
Um,
haven't heard of that one.
yeah, it's this early 60s noir film. It was originally supposed to star Peter Falk, who was a friend of the writer-director Alan Barron, but then he got cast in a movie, so Barron plays the role himself. And it is this kind of grimly existential noir film about a hitman coming to New York at Christmas time to do a job. And, it's definitely one of those point counterpoint kind of movies. Like it's Christmas, but this guy is super depressed and alone, and everything is terrible. But it also does that cool thing that you get so often with low budget movies. Again, talking about that where they didn't have permits. They weren't set dressing. What you see is what you get. You are looking at what, Christmas time New York looked like in like 1959, 60, whatever. And so, just on an anthropological level, that's always interesting. But it's this really great sort of gloomy noir film. And very, very raw and very low budget, but also very Christmassy.
Well, here's the true question.
Mm.
One battle after another. Is that
yes, that's been coming up a lot. It is not a Christmas movie, although it does traffic.
I do agree. I agree.
Yeah, it traffics in Christmas symbolism and stuff. And I knew something was up from the moment they were on the elevator and you could hear the Muzak was playing "What Are You Doing New Year's Eve?" I'm like, what?
Well, and that "Hark the Herald Angels Sing," I mean,
yeah, and the Jingle Bell Knock and all that stuff. But yeah, not a Christmas movie. I'm planting my flag on that early.
All right. So then there'll be scary ghost stories, so holiday horror, and you even watched the Terrifier 3.
Yeah. That thankfully I had my husband as my Sherpa, where like I literally he'd be like, okay, cover your eyes. Okay, now you can look. That movie was a lot for me because I'm really not even a horror guy. Like writing this chapter is always the hardest part for me, but I'm super not a gore guy. So I think a couple of fun new entries. Like there's a film called Better Watch Out that I really like. I think it's really clever. It was shot entirely in Australia on a soundstage, but like they really capture the whole sort of winter, Christmas in the suburbs thing. And then of course Krampus, that's one of the big movies that opened since the last edition. And I think that one's, I think it's so hard to do an effective horror comedy in that you have to make it funny enough that you're not undoing the scary stuff, but also frightening enough that it's not killing the humor. And Michael Dougherty really kind of threads that needle beautifully, I think.
Yeah, and of course, Anna and the Apocalypse. I feel like that was just a movie that was just made for me. Like, somebody like put my all the stuff I love, over the top musicals, Christmas.
It's a mad lib of ideas that shouldn't work together, but they totally do. And of course we see a ton of low budget horror movies, but a low budget musical is really hard to pull off, and a low budget horror musical is like next level degree of difficulty. And I think that movie's really charming.
Well, it's been kind of fun for me. The last I've been subbing in here locally for KSL Movie Show. It's on Fridays, and so I've had to watch some movies that I wouldn't have normally watched, and so I've gotten caught up on a lot of horror. Like I watched all the main Conjuring movies for the first time.
Oh wow!
I've watched this summer. I've watched my first Final Destination movie.
Oh, okay.
My first 28 Years Later movie. I watched
You're getting the full spectrum there, yeah.
So
that's a lot of Hallmark people in that Final Destination movie.
Yes,
I'm sure you noticed.
Was fun. Richard Harmon. I mean, I wish he hadn't had the ending because I would have liked it because I liked his character a lot.
I just saw Gabrielle Rose in the new Lynn Ramsey movie, Die My Love.
Oh yeah,
playing Sissy Spacek's sister. I'm like, hey, I know you.
Yeah.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, hearty, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies.
It's just fun when you see those Vancouver movies. You're like,
Mhm.
oh, I know all these people.
I just did a Mad Men
and settings.
Oh, first, yes, totally. Yeah, I know that gazebo.
Yeah.
I just did a Mad Men rewatch, and it was a constant thing of like, oh my god, it's Palaha. Oh my god, it's Nikki DeLoach. Like it was just not
Jesse Schramm.
not where I said the final episode. Like Fiona Gubelman pops up. Like was not expecting this much hall spotting.
Right. So then you have Scroogapalooza.
Yes.
So this is the whole chapter on Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
And you're a big fan of the Albert Finney.
I am.
Yeah.
Of the 1970s Scrooge. Yeah. Yeah.
What do you like about that one so much?
Well, again, I do love a musical, and it's actually it's written by Leslie Brickus. He also did all the songs, and I'm a fan of his work. He's probably most famous for his collaborations with Anthony Newley, particularly like the Willy Wonka movie, but also like
Oliver.
Roar of the Grease Paint, Smell of the Crowd. He's not the Oliver guy.
Okay.
But Scrooge is very much a post-Oliver movie, in terms of I think if Oliver hadn't happened, nobody else would think, oh, well, yes, let's do a big Dickens musical. But then clearly that was, the way to go. And I love the fact that I think I've probably told you this before, like Finney is one of the few guys who plays young Scrooge and old Scrooge.
Oh, that's true.
So
that's
when you see him devolve into this crabbed, miserly, stooped figure, it's the same guy, and I think it hits a little harder.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, of the new takes on this, I'm a big Spirited fan
too. Me too. I mean, obviously, another movie. It's like they entered it into a computer.
Exactly.
A movie for Rachel. Yeah, I really enjoyed that as well. I thought it was really fun. The only thing about the Feeney one, I enjoy the over the topness of him going to hell. But I do think it kind of hurts his agency as a character, because it makes it like, what else are you, if you literally know you're going to hell, like you're going to change,
Well, I mean, look, one could argue that's the foundation of most Western religion or Christianity anyway. And I think it adds a little more, because usually in this story, it's like they show him the grave and it's like, oh no, like as though that weren't inevitable. And the worst we get is like, well, everyone who works for you is going to steal your linens and sell them, and so I think taking him to hell is like, okay, yeah, that maybe is a little more of a motivation to get your act together,
I think that it's not as much that he dies, but as much that there's no mourners. Nobody loves him. They're literally selling his stuff at the pawn shop. These kinds of things that I can't turn into that man.
Sure, but again, it's like you're going to be gone, so who cares?
That's a good point.
I think this gives him a little more of a stake.
So we talked about the lumps of coal a little bit already, but yeah, that must have been a fun one to get a little cheeky on some of these movies.
Yeah, there were some dudes there. They're like, okay, like and a mix of new ones like Buttons is just like, what are we doing here?
What is that?
That movie, I really want to know, like, whose idea was this? How did this come together? Like,
how did they get that cast?
Yes, there's got to be some stories there, because clearly they had a lot of money and no idea what they were doing.
Yeah.
And then there's like a little kind of faith-based movie called Believe that is just reprehensible, I think, in terms of what it has to say. Like as I say, it's like it's the gospel according to Ayn Rand. The hero is the rich factory owner who lets the unhoused people sleep in his factory as long as they go to work and break the strike of his actual employees. Like, oh man, Merry Christmas, everybody.
I can't remember if it was in the book or not, but did you what you think of? Did you see Journey to Bethlehem?
I didn't put it in the book, but I did watch it. I was like, okay,
I enjoyed it. I liked that they basically made it a rom-com. They even have a meet cute at the beginning. And just like, I thought they leaned into the camp enough to make it entertaining, like especially Antonio Banderas. That song is like
And Tony Banderas knows what movie he's in, you know,
Yeah.
and the King and Country guy, it was pretty good too, I thought. But
Yes.
yeah, overall wasn't crazy about it, but didn't like hate it enough to want to put it here.
Fair
But a
enough.
classic that I had never seen before, classic in quotes, is this Canadian kids movie called The Christmas Martian, which is
Oh, wow.
cuckoo bananas. You've got to see this thing. It just came out on Blu-ray last year, and it is again like this sort of weirdly surreal experience of like this Martian who leaves these, you know, green footprints in the snow, and you know, there's a lot of trick photography, and it's just so weird.
Yeah. Sounds crazy. All right. Then you have Just Like the Ones I Used to Know, the Christmas classics.
Yeah, that pretty much went through without anything added, except for I threw in, you know, the Christmas Story Christmas sequel as a
which was pretty good. I liked
it was actually,
Yeah.
and given the bad history of Christmas Story sequels up to that point, you know, because we had A Summer Story, or AKA It Runs in the Family, which was terrible. There was the actual A Christmas Story 2 that came out that was also terrible. But so it kind of felt like Peter Billingsley, like, you know what, I need to come back and do one that actually counts, and we'll just pretend those other ones didn't happen.
It's really funny when we were covering when that movie came out. I had a friend, a fellow podcaster who was a guest, not normally a co-host, come on and do that with me. And I had told him we're going to review the sequel, not even thinking about those other ones, thinking, of course, he's going to think about this one, the new one. And he showed up. And he had watched Christmas Story 2, and I was like, "Oh, you must have thought I was a mean person, like make you watch that movie." Like, I'm sorry,
I would never.
And so we ended up covering Christmas Story 2, and but yeah, really, really, really bad. But was there anything you learned new about one of these classics that surprised you, or that was sort of new?
I'll tell you, to be honest, I didn't delve into this chapter all that much, because the reason that this is a new edition and not a sequel was because the publisher was like, well, you can't have a Christmas movie book that doesn't have all the classics in it.
Sure.
So what I wound up doing was kind of taking the first book, shrinking a lot of the movies that I wrote about the first time to sort of a see also, and to make room, because I also had to be the same size, publishing wise, you know, so to give myself room to talk about these new movies. So by the time we got to the classics chapter, I'm like, it's, you know, I think there were a few bits of trivia that I added that were new, that were different. Like one of the things that happened with White Christmas in the last 15 years is that we now have an actual soundtrack of the movie that features the music from the movie, because of this complicated thing where Bing Crosby's label and Rosemary Clooney's label, you know, they couldn't cross-pollinate, you know. So for years, the official quote unquote White Christmas soundtrack had Peggy Lee instead of Rosemary Clooney, and Rosemary Clooney had a Sing Songs from White Christmas album that she put out on Columbia. But now you can get, there's a CD, and I think this year a vinyl of the actual, here's what it sounds like in the movie. These are the original 4 vocalists, you know, stuff, which is really cool. And the CD is great because it might be a 2 CD thing where it's White Christmas and the one that doesn't have Rosemary Clooney on it, and the Rosemary Clooney album, and the Holiday Inn soundtrack for good measure. So like it's a nice little collection.
That is cool. I didn't know that. Very good. Well, I think the Hallmarkies audience will love the book. They should definitely check it out. I'll have a link in the description. But we like to end our interviews with some fun get to know you questions. And of course, we have the holiday edition. So first question, what is your favorite holiday drink?
I am probably more of a hot cocoa person, but I love a nog.
Okay, good. What is your favorite holiday cookie or treat?
I mean, dark chocolate peppermint anything, generally speaking, although I do have, there's a wonderful Linoleum Knife listener who every year gives us a box of, have you ever had sponge candy?
Oh, like honeycomb kind of?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Yeah, it sort of dissolves in your mouth, but like it's but covered in chocolate. Oh man, I wait for that every year.
That sounds delicious. What is your favorite Christmas song or carol?
Man, I listen to a lot. I, ask me tomorrow and I'll tell you something different, but I will say caroling, caroling.
Oh, okay, good, good. Okay, I mean we are talking, but what is your favorite classic Christmas movie of the chapter? What's your favorite?
Oh gosh. You know, I mean, like the thing is, they're kind of tied into to different traditions. So like we will always watch White Christmas, every year at home, but we'll always go to a theater in Los Angeles to see It's a Wonderful Life, because we
Oh,
have that
nice.
option. So those two will always, get another viewing when December rolls around.
If you ever get the chance to see the Broadway musical adaptation of White Christmas, it's
hmm
actually really solid.
I've
If
heard,
you,
yeah, I've
yeah,
heard that it's actually okay. Oh, and
yeah. They like cut
and
out the minstrel number, obviously, and they just make some things to I think make it an improvement. And there's so many bad screen to stage adaptations. It's a
oh,
pretty good
sure,
one.
yeah.
Yeah.
I just saw this morning we're getting the Lost Boys.
Yes. Although there have been some really interesting things on Broadway lately with horror. And if you ever get a chance to see Evil Dead the musical, it's actually
Ooh,
really good.
okay, that's going on the
It's
list.
bonkers and fun, and you want to be in the splash zone. Have the guts to be in the splash zone.
It costs extra. I do love the fact
Yeah.
that when they turned Holiday Inn into a Broadway musical, they made like Corbin Blue one of the leads. It's
Yeah, that's
like not only
awkward.
are we not doing the blackface number.
Yeah, right. All right. Which do you like better, Scrooge or the Grinch?
Oh, Scrooge.
Yeah. Okay, which do you like better, clear lights or colored?
Oh, colored.
Mm-hmm. Would you rather be in a snowball fight or build a snowman?
Probably snowball fight. I think I have a better shot at it. My design skills are the worst.
Okay. Would you consider yourself a good gift wrapper or not?
I'm okay. I'm married to a good gift wrapper,
Ooh.
so I know the difference, but I can muddle through.
All right. Last question. Do you have an ugly Christmas sweater?
I have a gorgeous Christmas sweater that happens to
Ah.
have deer on it. But I would never classify it as an ugly.
Okay, very good. Well, you did it. You answered all the questions.
Woo!
Congratulations on the book,
Thank you.
and hope you have a very, very Merry Christmas.
Same to you. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Yeah. So if people want to follow you on socials or what are you
Yeah,
doing right
I'm
now?
I'm a Duralde on Blue Sky, Alonso.Duralde on Instagram, and I'm the easiest person on earth to Google. So,
Yeah. Just
Alonso
make sure they spell your
Duralde.
name right.
Yeah, exactly. As long as you get that part right, then yeah, you're pretty much only going to find me. So,
Well, very good. We'll have all that in the description. You all check it out. And thanks so much.
thank you.
We'd like to thank Alonso for coming on the podcast. This was so much fun to get to talk with him. I hope you all enjoyed it. Let me know what you think of all the things we talked about in the comment section. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all over social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So check that out. Also, make sure you're following the podcast at Hallmarkies Pod and Hallmarkies Podcast, all over social media. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. And if you are watching on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. We appreciate that so much. We also have our Patreon group and merch store. Check that out. And thanks again to Alonso. We'll talk to you later. Bye.